Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CT Sports Talent Show. My name is Christopher Saunders, and I'm pleased to have on the Central Connecticut State University men's basketball player and also a former East Catholic player as well, just a few years ago, Brody Limric. And Brody, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's awesome to be able to have somebody who, again, I didn't really get to see much because I only did one East Catholic game, and that was against Holy Cross. And I'm pretty sure it was at Plainville High or something like that years ago, right? But it was a
Mhm.
fun game. Holy Cross gave you a game for about 2.5
Yeah,
years, and then you pull away. But that team was uber talented, had a plethora of talented basketball players. And then obviously East Catholic still doing East Catholic things, winning a bunch of games, still winning titles, Riley doing his thing.
yep.
But before we get to yourself, I mean, you know, are you keeping track of the East Catholic boys basketball program now that you've been away for a couple years?
Oh yeah, I still go and play pickup all the time. You know, I keep in touch with everybody. Especially the Riley boys. I mean, I grew up with a lot of these guys, and I played with their older brothers, like Preston Fowler at East Catholic. Right now, I played with his older brother, Jaden Fowler. I'm from the same town as the Rileys, and they're doing great things. I mean, we've won how many state championships in a row now? It's been a one before. I think it's like three, four in a row, something like that. And
Mhm.
it's a great community. Once an Eagle, always an Eagle.
Mhm.
And I know they're gonna do great next year too.
Now, before we get into obviously where you're at now at Central, I kind of want to rewind a little bit. The game of basketball finds, just like any sport, it finds people in different ways. How did basketball find you? I mean, was basketball your only sport or did you play others?
That's a great question. So my dad grew up next to Don Nelson, who played for the Celtics in Natick, Mass, and he played basketball at Nichols College. And he's definitely what you'd call a basketball fanatic. So I grew up playing basketball, but I also grew up playing lacrosse because he also played lacrosse in college. And
Mhm.
when I was younger, I was cut from my sixth grade travel team in Glastonbury, seventh grade travel team in Glastonbury, and put on the B team in eighth grade. And during those years, I actually made the lacrosse team instead. So I grew up playing rec basketball and travel lacrosse, thinking that I'd be playing lacrosse in high school.
Mhm.
And then my mom decided to send me and my brothers to East Catholic because she liked the smaller class sizes. Nothing to do with the basketball. She liked the smaller class sizes. And
Mhm.
from there, I just decided to play basketball because why not? And it ended up working out for me.
So it's almost like the Michael Jordan thing where he got cut, except a little different. He didn't go to lacrosse. He just somehow found a way to, he didn't make his high school team, still plays Division One. For you, it was you didn't, you got cut, what was it, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, something like that.
Yeah,
And you decided to focus on lacrosse. And again, like you said, your mom decided, hey, I want my boys to go to East Catholic. Like you said, nothing to do with basketball,
yeah,
but because of the smaller classrooms and such.
yeah.
I mean, did you ever think about that? You and Michael Jordan kind of compare a little bit?
I wouldn't compare myself to Michael Jordan, but I definitely do have. I mean, I think everybody who
Mhm.
does good things in something, everybody who thinks that they're successful in life has definitely faced adversity. I think adversity shapes who you are as a person, and
Mhm.
we definitely had similar adversity in being looked down upon in junior high school basketball and even high school basketball. I didn't really start playing varsity until my junior year, so I definitely didn't deserve to play varsity, but
Mhm.
I definitely had to earn my way up, and I think Jordan did too. But Jordan's Jordan, and can't take anything away from him, man.
How difficult was it for you? Because like you said, you missed a lot of really developmental time because of not being able to play, right? Because of being
Mhm.
caught focusing on lacrosse, right? So, when you got to East Catholic, what was it like? Because I haven't spoken much to Coach Riley, but just seeing the results and seeing the interviews, he runs it like a college program, and I could
100%.
see the structure. I mean, it's almost like a boot camp in the military, but I don't mean it in that sense. But like
Yeah.
everything is structured perfectly. It almost seems like.
No, we definitely do theme ourselves after the military, kind of. And the biggest thing I learned at East Catholic that shaped my basketball career was accountability. You know, you, any excuse I made, Riley made sure to call me out on it, and it taught me personal accountability in basketball and
Mhm.
with myself and how I worked and when I played. But it also taught me that in life, and I believe that if you are a well-rounded person in life, you'll be a successful basketball player. Like if you handle your grades, if you're a good person, if you do the right things, you will it will work out for you basketball wise, in some way or another. And I think Riley really instilled that in me, and it helped me get to where I am.
Was there one conversation or maybe something he said during your years at East Catholic that kind of still has stuck with you even now?
Um,
If you could pick one, I'm sure there's a lot.
yeah, there's a lot. One that made me turn around was, I believe it was going into senior year. Uh, it was being in the season before we play any games, practicing and stuff. And this was when I was starting to get really recruited. And
Mhm.
I'm not playing good in practice. I'm in like a funk. I'm just not doing what I'm supposed to do. And
Mhm.
I remember walking. So it's East Catholic. There's two like gyms. There's like the main gym, and then the back
Mhm.
gym. And the girls were using the main gym, so we walk in the back gym. And Riley pulled me aside and he said, Brody, he said, Brody, the Navy coach has been calling me, asking me how you've been playing. Do you want me to lie to him and say you're playing good? And she said something along those lines. And I was like, damn, I'm just not doing what I'm supposed to do. Like, I can't have Coach Riley lying to coaches about me. And that just like really like pissed me off in like
Mhm.
the best way possible. And I had a great senior season, and it just started clicking for me. And yeah, and I ended up Navy wanted me to go to their prep school because my grades weren't good enough. I had like a 3.2 GPA, and my grades weren't good enough to get into their main school because Navy's so good. But ended up working out with them, and I ended up getting some offers, and that really just like made me snap out of my funk, and that made me realize like I have to turn it up now or else I won't have another chance.
Hearing that kind of makes me think about, what Coach Riley and what has made him so successful. We talked about some of the things just a few minutes ago, but being honest, right? And I think that's something that, how do I put this? In high school sports, it gets lost, right? I'm sure
Mhm.
you probably have heard it, maybe seen it from other areas, right, of the game because Connecticut basketball, it's a big fraternity. Everybody
Yeah,
talks,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
But there are some even between teammates, right, where it's hard to be honest with your fellow team, be like, hey, you're sucking right now. You can't shoot. Stop shooting, right? But sometimes it's like you got to tell them that. Coaching is the same thing because instead of some coaches will be, maybe like trying to, walk on water and try to get to that point later on. But by later on, it could be too late. But with Riley, it seems like right to the point, finds a way to be able to ignite that fire. And it seems like it worked for you.
Well, something that goes along with what you said is something that Riley harped on. He always said the difference between criticism and feedback is the way it's received. It's not on the person who's saying it, it's on the person who's taking it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he instilled that within the team. So when players like Matt Veretto and Joey Riley were telling you to do something different, you weren't like, why are you telling me that? You're like, you're right, I have to be better. And I think that instilling that within all of us made us a player led team more than just a coach led team too, because now you could take advice from your teammates instead of just the coach.
When you were getting all the attention, right? You talked about the offers and just getting more of that, right? Did that kind of, did that give you any sort of nervousness, or because of what Riley said to you, it kind you like you didn't even think about it because you were just playing because of what he said to you before?
Um, when I knew coaches were there, I would be nervous. I would be very nervous, and it was funny. Riley actually wouldn't tell me sometimes when some coaches were there, just so I wouldn't get too nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Because during COVID was when a lot of schools started reaching out to me when I posted some films. Cut when I did a few dunks in AAU and I posted online, and everyone saw I could jump high. They started recruiting me, and
Mm-hmm.
then when they came to see me in person, I was like, oh shoot, now I got to really perform, and I got nervous, and I don't know why I got so nervous, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Riley used to not tell me when coaches were there, and the school I'm at now, CCSU.
Mm-hmm.
The head coach at TCSU was Patrick Sellers. Before he was there, he was at Fairfield. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was a junior in high school, and he was at Fairfield, he came in. I didn't know he was there, and he watched me play against Northwest Catholic, and I played great, and he loved me. And then when their head coach came, and I knew he was there, I did not play great, and then Fairfield didn't recruit me. But then fast forward down the line, I entered the transfer portal from Quinnipiac,
Mhm.
and Patrick Sells gets a head coaching job and picks me up at CCSU, and it all ended up working out. But
Mhm.
now I'm definitely more accustomed to pressure, but COVID really messed me up with that. I think I just wasn't used to playing in front of coaches, and I was in my own head a little bit.
So, to go back to the COVID situation, because I think, this last class that we had was the last one that was truly affected by COVID.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, that has subsided. Although I know in the college game, I think there's still another year or two of the extra year and all that jazz that's kind of involved before with the transfer portal, you got NIL and all that. But, you know, you talked about how COVID kind of affected you, right? As far as not being around coaches. Did it affect anything else as far as either the mental side or psychological side that you still deal with even today?
Oh, for sure. And it affected a lot of people. As I mentioned, we were talking first, I want to work with kids, and a lot of kids right now haven't been, socialized the right way. They've missed a lot of big milestones in their life.
Mhm.
And I was slightly out of that, but I was still like my mom was really worried about COVID, and I'm a triplet, so I had people to talk to, but I was still like really alone for a big part of my high school. I was not going out, I wasn't playing basketball. I was like stuck inside, and that definitely like depresses you a lot, and it made me like really have to decide like if I wanted to play basketball, like what I really wanted to do, because everything was self-led. And my grades took a little bit of a hit. You know, I definitely checked out mentally from school a little bit, and I definitely checked out socially. And I it took a while to recover from that. I really applied myself senior year and stuff like that. But like
Mhm.
that junior year when COVID was canceled, like I wasn't there mentally, and that's something that I reflected on a lot. But I'm very glad I checked back in my senior year for sure.
Now, with you being at Central Connecticut State University, and I know you were telling me about how, the major that you have. I don't know, maybe you want to discuss that a little bit because, we'll get into the basketball side in a second, but I know your major is pretty unique to a certain degree. So why don't you discuss that?
Yeah, so I'm a physical education major. The schools in Connecticut that offer phys ed are CCSU, I know Southern does, Eastern does, and Springfield's, which is not in Connecticut, but is right outside of Connecticut, offers physical education. So there's not really a lot of schools that offer it, but we're a tight knit community. And transferring from Quinnipiac that did not have many education options to a school that had exactly what I wanted to do, physical education, was very
Mhm.
important to me because a lot of college athletes, especially Division One basketball players, just see the free education like I'm getting a free education, but they don't actually get something that they know what they want to do with, or they can apply and use and actually get a job with.
Mhm.
And in my family, we all have majors that we know what we want to do with. My brother Cooper, he's going to become a cop. My brother Max has become a teacher, and we all have plans. But not a lot of athletes do, and it's very hard to see. So if any any young athletes or anything is listening, like try to go to college knowing what you want to do. Save yourself money, save yourself time, and figure that out. Just don't go to college because you want the college experience. Go to college with a plan, and go because you have a passion, want to do something. Like I really do want to be a physical education teacher and a coach. So I'm on the right path to doing that.
I want to hit on that because I think a lot of times we were kind of talking about how there are a lot of good people that are helping the young athletes, but every once in a while you find a couple bad eggs that are
100%.
dropping in the ear of, I know in basketball it happens more because it's, again, the way the game is, and it's a great sport. I love calling it, I love watching it. And
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people that want to be a part of that community. I saw it in the NBA draft where every single family was saying, well, God's great. Well,
Yeah.
technically, you didn't do anything. Your kid's the one that did it. And now
That's
you just so happen to marry, not marry, but become a millionaire with your son or grandson, whatever. But
That's
I
a big pet
digress.
peeve to have too. Yeah.
Yeah, I digress. But the point is, though, how important is it for someone like you who has their head in the right spot, right? You see what you got, you know what you want to do, and try to share that with the young athletes to try to break that cycle, right? To try to get away and try to help these young athletes to open their eyes a little bit and be aware of their surroundings and know that there are certain people you don't want to be around because they will put you in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I mean, you'll notice it when you start to play good. You'll notice who's there when you're being successful and who's there when you're not. And a lot of times your mom, your dad, and your close family are gonna be there when you're not successful and when you are successful. Going back to what Coach Riley says, he calls it 70 and sunny. When everything's going great, who's patting you on the back? And when things aren't going so great, when you're not doing how or before you become successful, who's there? Because a lot of times the people who are in it for the wrong reasons will only show up when you're successful. And it's knowing yourself and not getting caught up in the people who are almost call them clout chasers, but the people who are only in it because you're doing good. You want the people around you to be in it because they care about you and not just what you're doing at that time.
Brody, I really appreciate you coming out. A lot of fun being able to talk with you about your journey and such and everything that we've talked about so far. Before I let you go, as far as with the upcoming season, I know it's still many, many months away, but I know it'll come out just like that. How have you been preparing for as far as with this incoming season at Central?
Yeah, so I'm lucky. Now that U Heart is Division 3, Central is actually the closest Division 1 school to my home. It's 25 minutes away. So I've been going there. I've been working out with the coaches, and I'm close to home. So I've been working out, playing pickup at East Catholic, playing pickup in Bridgeport, playing pickup all over the place, and working out at TCSU. And that's when I'm personally going to college close to home.
Mhm.
Is that I can go and do those things, and I start summer basketball at CCSU. My summer session starts in about a week, so I'm gonna go there. We're gonna get together as a team. We're gonna work hard, and I've just been playing, man. That's what you gotta do. Just keep playing and keep enjoying it.
Brody, again, appreciate you coming on. Best of luck as far as with this upcoming season. Stay in touch, and I'd love to get you back on sometime in the near
Sure.
future.
Thank you for having me.
Always. I'll wrap things up here in the CT Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connected Talent. I'm Marjorie. Find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.